So, hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Turn 5 podcast, and it's our first double header episode of the season. We've got a race to review and a race to preview, so this could be a bit of a longer one. Please stick with us. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, you may have noticed that the usual 5 has become 6. Sonja's here, our graphical designer who developed our lovely logo that you see plastered on everything. So, Sonja, do you want to introduce yourself, tell us your favourite team and your favourite driver?
Oh, yeah, so my name is Sonja. I'm from Austria, so if my English is... I'm sorry. And I support McLaren, and yeah, my favourite driver, probably Danny Rick, because I've really liked him for a very long time. So, but I love Lando.
I still feel like my favourite driver pick has been the most out there, going with Ocon. I think Esteban's amazing. He's got fantastic pace. He looks great, especially when he was in that Force India. But that's a different discussion. Anyway,
we're becoming a bit of a McLaren podcast now, aren't we?
Yeah, just a little.
I have no idea.
I mean, we do have our logo is orange and blue, isn't it?
Yeah, you requested it to be in McLaren colours.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Because I did it in other colours. Oh, sorry. And then they were like, oh yeah, can you make it orange?
I think we've got orange and the sort of light blue for Merc, so that's all we need. Anyway, Portuguese Grand Prix has been and gone. Sum it up in a sentence, Richard. Go.
Hit and miss.
Nia, one sentence to describe Portugal.
Didn't feel like it happened, to be honest. It just didn't feel like a race, if that makes sense.
Ben?
The strategy.
Alex, one sentence to describe the Portuguese Grand Prix.
Decent, but not Bahrain or Imola.
Sonja?
Just kind of there. It just kind of happened.
I guess I would say, and it's pretty fitting for the track, very up and down. To be honest, yeah, there was the peak bits and there was the poor bits as well.
Meh bits.
Yeah,
it was one of those ones where we all thought it was going to be close, and then it just kind of settled into itself, and nothing really came of it. So
yeah,
it wasn't as. I think Red Bull weren't quite as competitive as they were hoping they were going to be. So it started off all right. I mean, I think Kimi's safety car introduced a little bit of extra spice just for an extra couple of laps, but then
that was it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That looks quite bad for a moment. It was one of those ones where everyone's on the pit straight and you see a lot of debris flying around. It's a bit.
Yeah, it was just like you just suddenly see half a front wing fly up in the air. You're like, what is going on?
I mean, at one point they were showing a battle for 18th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that was the closest on-track battle was.
But then again, we don't always want to just be focused on the front runners. Like,
no,
there are 20 cars on the grid for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, when we get rid of the front running, we normally cut to like a battle for 7th.
Yeah.
Something with points at least.
Yeah, well,
not the season's first on-track overtake for a Haas car.
People normally say, "Oh, F1's better without Mercedes and Red Bull," but it's probably the other way around.
Yeah,
wasn't it? I mean, yeah, a lot of people said it was boring, but I think it was boring compared to, like I said, boring compared to Bahrain and Imola. Like,
it wasn't a boring race.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't a boring race, but it wasn't chaotic.
Boring compared to the other two.
Yeah,
it was great. I mean, the battle for the lead was actually really close, wasn't it? There were, particularly in the first stint, they were only a couple of seconds apart. I mean, how many overtakes were there between like Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen? There must have been
there was
4 or 5
a
at least.
few, to be fair. We had 4 different leaders of the race.
Yeah. I mean, and strategy-wise, it was interesting.
Especially with Checo.
And every
and Lance
pass,
Stroll.
That's the other thing, actually. Every pass for the lead was done on track. There was none in the pit.
Yeah,
I mean, the Bottas one was like, it's because he'd just come out of the pits. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's something you have to be able to defend against, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I'm still like, we mentioned this last week in Imola. I'm still not sure about the Mercedes, like on its tyre warm up, sort of like the first lap out of the pits.
well, I mean,
Because Bottas was
at,
all over the place.
was
wasn't
that
he?
that's turn 3. Yeah, Bottas at turn 3 was just like, yeah, drift.
It happened in Imola as well. But
So,
The Mercedes this weekend was definitely looking a lot more like a Mercedes though, and that is very encouraging for me as a Merc fan.
see, I don't know if it's the Mercedes looks more like a Mercedes or just the other cars did not like the wind.
But even
'Cause you
just
had-
in general, like it did look a lot more planted and things,
Yeah.
and the way Lewis, once he took the lead, just sort of drove off.
No, it was the way that George was talking about it in his interview afterwards, that he was like the wind would die down and they'd be good, and then the wind would pick up again and lose 6-7 tenths a lap, and it's like that's
Then is that
really
just the Williams being Williams?
well, I mean, yeah, but that
I mean,
does
the
explain
Haas
the
cars.
weekend.
Sorry.
Yeah,
It has.
The Haas cars just got blown off into the gravel.
Yeah, well, one of the Williams cars got overtaken by a Haas, so
And the other one overtook a Haas.
yeah,
Lapped it, really.
yeah.
everyone
Yeah, the
did,
other one
didn't
lapped a Haas.
But
Yeah.
everybody lapped the Haas. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, that wasn't a great one for them. Well, I mean, making an on-track overtake is good progress for one of the
Yeah.
drivers. So,
But I mean, are we ever going to describe any race this season as a good one for Haas?
judging from their comments, I'm going to go with a big fat nope on that one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, everyone with the exception of Latifi, Mazepin, and obviously Schumacher himself lapped a Haas. Because
George Russell got round and lapped.
yeah, Schumacher was a lap behind Russell. Latifi was 3 seconds behind Schumacher, and then
Mazepin was like a minute behind.
then
Then he got a
yeah.
5-second penalty,
Yeah.
Then there's Nikita, who
which
finished,
definitely decided the race.
who finished
Yeah.
64.4 seconds behind Latifi.
Oh, God. Well, that 5 seconds really did something there.
Apparently he
Yeah.
spun, but we didn't see it. But I didn't.
But I don't
No,
even remember seeing any yellow
The
flags.
more I look into it, the more it seems like that was just the practice one. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he just
I mean,
snatched
it's
the brake
so-
and locked up.
There's so many. It's hard to
yeah, I
keep
know
track.
it's hard to
Yeah.
track it.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently he pitted as like 3 times, or was it twice?
I think it was
Like,
only
we did-
twice.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure.
didn't see the second one, so that's was
No,
like,
we just saw it
Yeah,
go
I
pit,
just-
and it's just like, oh wow.
Yeah, but
Oh.
even
then-
by his
Then he
standards,
came
I don't
out
know
and
he lost
it's
the time.
FIA time penalty.
yeah.
Oh well.
Oh,
It
really
was
adds
just like,
insult to
what
injury.
is the point? Like,
It just
I
really
did
adds
love the way the fact that nothing was really happening, that so they actually showed the proper time penalty graphic where it flashes up in red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really added the insult to injury there. Just
Yeah.
a minute behind. Oh, 5 seconds.
yeah. I think social media put that one best with the
Yeah.
water polo man.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
But we will come to Mazepin's time penalty a bit later on when we talk about Haas. But let's go back to the start of the weekend. FP1, FP2, FP3.
It was all very touch and go, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
sort of nobody really put in a blistering lap. Everyone
But
drifted
Callum
wide.
Ilott.
Callum
Ilott
Ilott
did
was
it,
there?
Everyone. Yeah.
I mean, you can't
was.
read too much into practice times, but his time was pretty like decent, wasn't it?
yeah,
I
he,
think.
Yeah.
He was a
got
lot further ahead than
P17.
some people.
yeah, he got P17.
So
I'm not exactly sure what time though.
I
Yeah,
will
I mean,
look it up.
practice times.
The FIA have all the answers.
Practice times are irrelevant, but it just seems a theme now that Hamilton struggles in FP1. Sort of, you often see him like sort of 4th, 5th, don't you? And then
Yeah.
he's
especially
just so
this
good
season.
at like, yeah, he's just so good at like finding all the performance like on the Friday evening or whatever. I don't know how he can like. I don't know what goes on in debriefs. It'd be interesting to just like see a full like debrief.
Yeah.
I mean,
see, like,
from
goes
what
on
I've
and how
heard,
you-
Hamilton takes a lot of time going over his data after the practice
Yeah.
sessions. So
Well, that's-
Apparently, he's always the last to leave.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Silverstone a couple of years ago, and we were like, me and my mate, we were like sat by the paddock exit like all day, basically. And yeah, Hamilton was the last out by a long way.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, he just somehow finds so much time overnight. And I think that's something that George Russell talks about quite a lot, isn't it?
So,
He's learned from it, but-
just coming back very briefly, Ilott was 17th with a 1:21.8. And he did the least amount of laps of anyone on circuit. He only did 21. But yeah, a 1:21.8 isn't bad, albeit if it had been qualifying, it would have put him 20th on the grid, but it's not, sort of thing. Like, he still finished in front of the two Haas cars and Latifi. So, not bad for his first run out in FP1.
Hopefully, we'll see a lot more of him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'd love
I
to
wish
see him
we
get a
had
seat.
this year.
Instead of some other people.
Yeah.
Some who won't be named. Yeah.
It's literally like Voldemort, he who must not
I
be
think
named.
he's,
It is pretty much.
I think he's going to be one of the main talking points when we get onto silly season.
Yeah.
I reckon.
I have a feeling he'll probably be like replacing one of the Alfa Romeo drivers. Most
Yeah,
likely
it's just
Kimi.
whether or not Kimi retires.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't reckon
If he's
he'll
had
have
enough of his hobby.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll get a new team. So we might. Yeah, you
Well-
Bad Santa.
Rich Energy.
Yeah, apparently
Rich
we're
Energy,
getting a new team.
Yeah, Rich
In
Energy
inverted
lining up
commas.
alongside, was it Ural Kali?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the-
See-
That black and gold's going to look really good on that. Definitely not a Russian flag livery.
Yeah, I was about to say the rumours are sort of shifting. Everyone thought it was Alfa Romeo that was going to be getting bought by Rich Energy. Now it's going back to Haas. And the rumours are that Gene is going to just sell and bail out a Haas.
I can see that happening because he really doesn't have a lot of money to put into the team anymore. Because I think Mazepin said they don't have any simulators at Haas, and Mick uses the ones at Ferrari because obviously he's part of the Ferrari Driver Academy. So, but you know, he has enough. Mazepin has enough money to buy one on his own. So you know.
Yeah.
Well, I'd still love to know what went on like behind the scenes at Haas over the winter after all the whole Mazepin stuff. I mean, obviously it's been talked about so much, but there must have been like all the top people must have wanted him like gone. All the staff, you know, all the people that work at Haas must have been like so uncomfortable with having him in the team. But it's just literally the team would have folded if they sacked him. And
I read somewhere that Gunther didn't want Mazepin, he wanted Callum, but Gene said no, we want Mazepin because of the money. But I imagine if they had Schumacher and Ilott, they probably would have got a few more sponsors because they're better than him.
What have you done, Gene?
Yeah,
Yeah.
also obviously people probably don't want to sponsor them now with Mazepin in the team.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to sponsor someone who did something like that.
He literally filmed himself doing it,
Yeah.
I think Under Armour and like the couple of German sponsors are only there for Mick. Because
obviously.
Yeah.
Because he's like a new German driver and
and in Drive to Survive there was like what that one episode about Haas, and they were saying how they'd only sponsor them if they had a German driver.
Yeah.
Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, the solution to all his problems.
The F2 champion.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Son of a 7-time world champion, an F2 champion in his own right.
Yeah, he's his marketing like ability.
His,
And
his
like
potential is
Right,
right
his
there.
potential. Yeah, that's what I meant.
And he's like the F3 maybe F4 champion. I'm not sure whether he won F4 or not, but I know he's F3 champion as well. So that's like good.
So moving on from practice, qualifying, the first front row lockout of the season.
I suppose it was going to happen at some point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
But it went to Mercedes, which
Yeah.
at the start of the season would have been a surprise.
true.
Perez seemed to go backwards again, didn't he, in qualifying after he did so well in Imola. It was sort of the other way around again, wasn't it? Really.
But the biggest heartbreak was Danny Rick out in Q1.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I couldn't watch qualifying, so I was just reading the F1 TV app on my phone.
Yeah,
and
the
just
live
seeing, like,
timing.
what happened to Daniel? I was like stood outside Waterstone, just like going mad with my friend.
I think
It was
he just couldn't get the lap together, I think is what he said.
Yeah. Which is
It's really sad. I really want him to do well.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but the cars this year, like in general, just seem more sensitive to certain conditions, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
there was the whole thing about the Williams, wasn't there, in the race? As soon as they're behind the car, it was just undrivable. And I know the wind seems to have a bit more of an impact. And I think perhaps when we see hotter temperatures, that might be a factor as well. Certainly,
Yeah, I think
Red Bull
that'll
normally-
probably swing
yeah.
towards Red Bull. Yeah.
But
I
Yeah, that
mean,
was a bit of a shocker.
he's only had like now 3 races with the car,
Yeah.
so I guess it takes a lot longer to like really get used to it. Like Lando's been in the car for like
3 years.
more than
this is his
3
third
years.
Yeah.
season now, so.
Yeah,
And even before that, because he was a test and reserve driver for a
yeah,
while.
yeah. But I think Danny Rick can do more with McLaren than he could have done with Renault.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
just these days, the driver has to adapt to the car rather than the car adapting to the driver. And I think, he struggled
Especially in
at the beginning with Renault,
some teams.
Yeah, exactly.
I just feel like from what we can see, the McLaren atmosphere is a lot like less toxic than the Renault one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that we don't know that for sure, but from what it seems like, I mean, I'm very biased. I just think Zach Brown is a cool
Yeah.
person.
I mean,
Oh, no doubt. Zach Brown does seem
yeah.
on
And,
camera at least pretty sound.
And every time, basically after every race, Andrea Seidel and Zach Brown have both, Daniel has said that they have both said to him, don't worry, you'll get used to it. You'll get used to the car. It'll come.
Yeah, it just seems like a very supportive environment.
That sounds like another team principle that we've seen, Christian.
As soon as the cameras, as soon as he thinks the cameras are off.
Yeah.
No, I generally think that environment has changed a lot in the last
Yeah.
3 years since they got rid of Alonso.
Yeah.
Because I think his negative energy was just bringing everything down, constantly banging on about how bad the car was, how bad the engine was. I mean, Honda fully left at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, slightly to Fernando's defense, I think he was maybe promised a little more than he got.
True,
But
but you still got to work with what you've got.
Yeah, you get a 2-time world champion and be like, yeah, we're gonna fight, and then you're languishing in 17th.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah.
On the flip side, he's the sort of driver that he drives teams forward, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So it's a question of how hostile can you be? When he was fighting for the title with Ferrari, that was more down to him than the car, wasn't it?
Mm.
So it's a question of how much is too much in terms of trying to push the team forward. But
then, I mean, you can also say how much did that sort of negative press push the team to go forwards again?
and also, when Alonso left, didn't Seidel come in?
They basically did like a hard reset.
Yeah, I think Andrea Seidel has really pushed the team to do really well.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that the atmosphere around McLaren is so good now.
Yeah.
Now Alonso's gone, but that's not to say anything bad about Alonso. I mean,
I think it was more his frustration at the situation he was in than anything else.
As I say, there doesn't appear to be that much negativity and stuff around Alpine.
Give it time
at the moment.
He's only had 3 races, but then again, he did say that they were going in the right direction. So
yeah,
I mean,
that's probably more positive. More positivity than anything he said while he was at McLaren.
It was quite rare. He seemed annoyed with himself after qualifying, didn't he? Which is very rare for Alonso.
Yeah,
I think everyone kind of feared the worst when he was 13th, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Again, and I think everyone probably could see him kind of getting annoyed at the team, but I don't know. Maybe it's a slightly different Alonso that's come back and perhaps resigned to the fact that 8th is a good race for him nowadays, because it was a brilliant. I mean, we'll come on to the race, won't we? But yeah, and it was nice to see. I think really for a change.
And especially after having 2 years out from the sport, coming back and thinking, oh, 8th, that's really good. If we're 3 races since the start of the season, and after 2 years, come back and do an 8th is quite good.
Not everybody can be like Kimi and win the first race back.
Yeah.
Mr. Saturday doing Mr. Saturday things.
Yeah.
Just 2 tenths outside of
highest
Q3.
Qualifying for Williams.
Yeah.
Actually.
So
It's almost getting to the point now though, where obviously it's completely down to the car, the whole situation in the race, where I mean, every single time he seems to qualify really well. It's almost getting to the point where, well, it's like, that's great, but can you back it up on a Sunday now? And unfortunately, for whatever reason, I mean, it's almost like from the very start, isn't it? You always see him lose like 4 or 5 places when he's sort of, that 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
He's always like almost straight away at the back, which is, yeah. And then obviously on the very rare occasions that he can hold on to a top 10 spot, obviously it seems to be Imola where it goes wrong. But
And
I
then
mean, it's not really, it's nothing against George. It's not like saying George is just not going forwards, because we've seen him in a Mercedes and he can barnstorm his way to the front of the field. I think it's just how bad the Williams has become. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have improved. It's just so has everyone else.
Yeah.
So, well, everyone but one team.
I just
I think
it's just
I
like
think that
problem,
I think that the fact that George was P11 in a Williams says a lot about him as a driver.
Yeah,
because I wonder how other people would do in that car.
Put Lewis in it, let's find out.
I think it does sort of show the Williams are starting to pick up their Saturday pace, but they just can't seem to nail it on a Sunday.
It seems like as soon as it's the same as what I was saying about earlier about certain conditions with certain cars. The Williams, on 1 lap pace and clear air seems really like decent compared to last year. But I mean, George Russell is not the sort of driver that drops down so many places like he did at the start. At the start yesterday through his own ability. It's just something like they said it in Bahrain, didn't they? That track, like, it didn't suit them because it was windy, I think it was, and it just they has to be like the absolute sweet spot. And in this case, it was because he was in the pack, he was suffering from dirty air, and that just completely throws the car off. And he dropped, I think it was 3 places after the safety car restart, didn't he? One lap.
Yeah. And Seb in Q3, didn't show the same pace in the race, very similar to the Williams, but it did give a glimpse of old Seb, I'd say.
And outqualified his teammate, even though his teammate got all of the upgrades.
Yeah.
So, Lance down in 17th.
So also in Q3, obviously we had Max setting a provisional pole in inverted commas lap time, and then FIA deleting it. Became a bit of a theme for the weekend when we talk about the race. What do we think? Do you think he would have taken pole if he had managed to keep it on the track during that lap, or do you think he gained a bit of time by going off?
It's a hard one to tell. I mean, obviously the FIA have all the analytics and the what's the
Data?
word?
Telemetry.
Oh,
Thank you. That we obviously don't get to see, so they'll be able to say, oh, he got on power at this point, and but he's had a snap of oversteer, and that's what's caused him to go wide. So in a way, it's kind of harsh because he's gone wide just to stop spinning, but has he actually gone faster because of that, or has he lost enough time by correcting his oversteer snap that he hasn't actually gained anything at that point? So I don't know. I think that's like the one situation where track limits, I'd be a bit more questioning on track limits.
It's a blanket rule, all 4 wheels off, lose your lap time. So. We were all calling for consistency after Bahrain.
I totally get it from that point. So no, from what it is, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But it's like, did he actually gain anything? Did he not? And like you see it in the race, people run wide because they've taken a different line because they're trying to defend. They've lost position anyway, but they don't get a track limits warning. So it's an interesting one still.
In the race, it's slightly different because if you're in the middle of a battle and you're wheel to wheel, there might just be nowhere else to go.
I mean, you saw like what was it, Gasly at turn 1, just like yeet himself 6 years wide because he tried to take such a tight line through the corner. Yeah, it's like he didn't get a warning flag because obviously he's lost so much time and he lost the position anyway. So Yeah.
And you usually find that they are a lot more lenient on track limits in the likes of lap 1 or just after a
Yeah.
safety car because everyone's next to each other.
Yeah.
Still, I don't know. It's regardless. I don't know if you gain time or not, but it still feels like the Red Bull has like a slight inherent like 1 lap pace advantage, like outright speed. But then, we saw obviously in the race the Mercedes on the harder tires was better. So it's this
But
argument
then,
of
I don't
who has
know,
the best car,
Mercedes set the outright fastest time in qualifying. Hamilton done a 1:17.9 in Q2, and
Q2,
that's the fastest time from the session. No one else broke the 17s.
It always seems a lot of people don't go quicker than they did in Q2, in Q3, or am I like?
Bottas did it last year.
It's not. It doesn't normally happen. And then Portugal was the same. No one really improved in Q3, and most circuits do. But this year, Bottas was the only driver in the top 10 to have went faster in Q3 than he did in Q2.
That was a weird one. I don't know if wind picked up or something, or it's hotter, but yeah, I mean, it's so tight.
I do think there was more in that Mercedes than was shown in Q3.
Hamilton's Q2 time was 4/10 quicker than Bottas' pole position lap. So
yeah, true.
That's a lot to lose in one session, and they're only like 10 minutes apart.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of time to drop. I mean, Seb drops 7/10 between sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Russell's Q2 time was like good enough for about 7th or 8th, wasn't it? In
109. That would have put him just above Norris. So yeah, he would have been 7th.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Scrap Q3.
One shot qualifying.
Oh, that would be
sprint
interesting.
Races.
Oh God.
But we will come to differing formats when we get to Silverstone, because that's when we're having the first sprint race, as was confirmed earlier this week. So we'll talk more about qualifying and stuff when we go to Silverstone and we actually know what's happening. As we discussed last week, there's still quite a lot of ambiguity around this sprint race format, but time will tell on that one.
We'll discuss it in July.
Yeah, sweet teas in July. I wonder if it'll make it into the game, actually. Sprint races.
Oh no,
interesting.
Not asked too much when they can't even make a track.
They can't even port in a 2011 Turkey.
But then again, they do have sort of sprint race code because they could take it from Formula 2.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but you can also argue that they've got the 2011 Turkey code.
Yeah. I think there's a big difference between last gen console code and
technically 2 consoles ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, and taking it from the current game.
I still think that when they've already said that they're adding stuff post launch, that they could add that post launch.
More on the game later this year, though.
Yeah,
we do have a slot for the game.
Also in July.
Shall we talk about the race?
Yeah, hard, I think.
Why not?
I mean, I don't think there's anything else to talk about in qualifying. Apart from the fact that after qualifying, Kimi Raikkonen's appeal was heard on his 30-second time penalty. And then Kimi Raikkonen's appeal was dismissed by the FIA, so his 30-second time penalty stands. So no changes to the championship that we have to report in terms of that, because that would have messed up all Richard's graphics.
Would have been a pain.
But yeah, so the championship.
Not that I spelled Alfa Romeo wrong last time, and only just noticed.
Oh,
we don't.
I didn't notice either.
No, we don't talk about it. No, didn't happen.
Definitely didn't happen.
If I didn't see it, it did not happen.
Exactly. I pretend I do not see. So the race, lap 1, we got off underway. I mean, Sergio got very much bogged down on the mediums. Carlos was just like, haha, bye.
I mean, that's kind of what we expected, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
but then, even compared to the other medium runners, he got off quite poorly.
Yeah.
The 2 Mercedes kept their lead, and Max was just sort of chipping away at their ankles. And then they did actually start to disappear up the road a little, the 2 Mercs. They got about a 2-second lead on Max, which I was quite surprised after the safety car. Which was caused by Kimi Räikkönen just sort of driving into Giovinazzi.
No, he said on an interview afterwards he was changing a setting on his wheel. He'd got it wrong the first time, so he was trying to correct it, and then just
looked up and hello, Antonio.
You could see it in the replay that he was like very hectically
go.
pressing some buttons, and then it just was suddenly there was another car on the start-finish straight.
I think it is quite an amusing thing to watch, though, just them driving into the back of his teammate and just seeing half a front wing shear off.
Yeah.
It was a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah. Which was the only retirement of the race. So that was good news for reliability, bad news for my F1 play predictions.
At least you remembered to do yours.
That's a good point. But again, we'll come to that a little bit later on when we talk about fantasy. So we had the safety car, which seemed to be out for a very long time.
Considering that Kimi managed to park it in a service road.
They had to go through the pit lane for the first lap.
But there was a couple of laps after Kimi's car was recovered, the pit street was clear, but the safety car stayed out.
But Mylander just wanted to up his lap to the count.
Yeah,
which I can totally get behind.
Oh yeah, but I did find that a little strange from Michael and Bert that they did stay out. Any thoughts?
Maybe there's something that we just weren't being shown.
Yeah, possibly.
So I mean, it's unlike them to just leave a safety car out.
Yeah.
So,
then we got underway and Bottas cost his teammate.
Yeah, that was a strange one from. I mean, I thought it looked at first that so I'd noticed straight away that Verstappen had kind of got the jump on Hamilton, but then it looked like Hamilton had kept it because he was still in the toe of Bottas. But then, he said after the race, didn't he? Don't know why I pulled out from the toe of Bottas, which I guess it's again we come on to the mistake that Verstappen made later that cost him second straight after that. It's such fine margins, isn't it?
Yeah,
at the front.
But Max was just on it on that restart.
Yeah,
he was like, his reaction time must have been incredible.
Yeah,
as soon as it went off,
ready for that.
Yeah,
whenever there's a safety car out, he always like pulls alongside of the person. I'm sure he does. He pulls alongside of the person he's in front, that's in front of him. Like when they're all warming their tires, he'll go and accelerate. I'm sure he does it on purpose. Like,
I'll be honest, I do it on the game. Where for safety car restarts, basically as soon as you enter sector 3 and the safety car pulls away, I'll just drive wheel to wheel with the car in front. I mean, so that as soon as the green flags go, it's like, bye.
But I mean, throughout the whole safety car, he does it.
Yeah. Danny Rick had a good couple first laps though, because he overtook a lot of people.
Yeah.
He did move back up through the order.
I think he was 13th at the time of the safety car, I think.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a ding-dong battle between Ocon and Norris.
Yeah, quite a good battle.
Norris got past Ocon, and then Ocon dove down the inside of turn 5, and then Norris just sent it round the outside of turn 11.
That was brave.
That was delicious.
It was a very good move into turn 5, though, from Esteban.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And down the inside to the hairpin.
There were some good moves still.
Yeah.
With loads of into turn 5 as
well.
Yeah.
Moving the DRS back, forward.
Shortening it.
Yeah. I think that worked pretty well because last year it was just ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, although most of the overtakes were at turn 1, there were some brilliant ones like the Hamilton one for the lead on Bottas. I didn't see that coming at all, even until the very last moment. That was a brilliant one.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to get it. I thought he was just going to wait and then get him into turn 5 after the second DRS zone.
But he just sent it into turn 1 and there you go, lead the way.
I mean, Bottas pinched himself really, didn't he? So
it seems to be the way. Like people would defend to the inside, but then
everyone
lose
just
out
sent it around the outside.
Yeah. The only exception was the Hamilton on Verstappen one, wasn't it? Where Hamilton went to the inside, and again, like I was saying, that it was just that one tiny, sort of correction, wasn't it, out of the last corner from Verstappen? But that's, you can't even afford that in a championship battle against Lewis Hamilton.
No.
But yeah, after a bit of a chaotic safety car restart, Lewis getting past Verstappen after his mistake, I do think he would have caught him anyway. It just sort of expedited the process. The race settled down for a few laps until, as we say, Lewis is like, "Hello, Bottas," and dives
promptly
round them
goodbye,
into
Bottas,
turn
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we just had some pretty calm racing. There wasn't much going on.
Just a lot of people pitting
was-
at weird times.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
Sergio was stuck behind Lando at that point.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that's
still-
what they said.
You just
after
can't
the
quite.
race.
Red Bull can't still quite get that second car into the fight for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
that's the thing.
I
'cause
think-
once-
I think
So they
once
just
he was
kept
gone-
him out
Yeah.
for like
Yeah.
Sergio definitely
50
seemed to
laps.
get
500 years.
Sergio definitely seemed to be bottlenecked by Lando.
Yeah.
I don't think the McLarens were on the pace this weekend.
No, they said once Sergio got past Lando, his pace was matching the front three.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same with Bahrain, wasn't it? Once he got through.
I know there was calls that Lando overtook Sergio illegally, but I still don't think I've seen a replay to back it up.
No,
Yeah,
Um,
I couldn't find
I might need to VPN to the States to access F1 TV. So I can ride on board with Lando and Sergio when that move actually happened to see what happened. But
from the sounds of it, it was like pretty close to a restart. So I think if
Yeah.
it was off track or whatever, or he ran wide and kept his position, or whatever Sergio was complaining about, I think the stewards have just gone, it's at the start.
yeah,
So
and
I didn't
then
even get like an under investigation or
Yeah,
anything.
nothing.
I've
then
seen
Perez got by anyway, so it's okay.
I've seen the shot of when I have seen the replay when it happened. I'm pretty sure, and it was because it was 10.5, wasn't it, on the exit? But he definitely didn't exceed track limits. I thought people were saying 10.4 though, like maybe he set the move up off track or something.
Right. So he's run wide to give himself an extra couple of Ks.
Yeah. Possibly. But again, Norris won Formula 1.5 for the third race in a row, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, Lando's doing really well this season.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
consistently in the top 5 for 3 races.
Yeah, and he's like the first best of the rest driver, if you like want to say that, behind
He's
the
a-
Mercedes and the Red Bulls.
He's above Bottas in the championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perez,
And very funny.
Yeah, because Bottas didn't have a great race last time.
well, yeah, Bottas got speared by a Williams last time out and got 0 points.
Instead,
Yeah.
instead of what the 2 that he was going to get. Instead.
Wait, did you see the graphic?
Yeah.
There was like one like of Lando's 3 seasons after like 3 races, the
Yes.
points, and it was like 8 in his first year, and then
Yeah.
27 or
20
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now
Yeah.
36 or something. Yeah,
37 we're on.
37.
I say
Yeah.
as I've got the page open in front of me.
Okay.
But yeah, so Lewis pulled away. We got a radio call from the Mercedes pit wall saying if the gap reaches 3.5, you're pitting first, and then the gap reached 3.5, and he didn't pit.
Shock. Mercedes lying about tyres on team radio. Name a more iconic duo.
Lewis Hamilton, tires are shot. Lewis Hamilton, fastest
Brilliant.
lap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
As
soon
Mercedes
as you
lying
make
about
overtake,
tyres
yeah.
on team radio.
In
I don't
fairness,
think it's lying. I think it's like
Yeah.
a code sentence for something.
Well, no, I'm not so sure because we've seen this in Portimao last year where the tyres degraded really badly and went through a really bad graining phase and then they cleared up. So I think when he said the tyres are shot, they were. And
He
then they
just-
weren't.
He just wanted a different way of saying bottom of my tyres are gone. He just thought, I'll switch it up this week. Bottom of my tyres are shot. Real change up of the saying.
So Max tried the undercut. A slick stop for Red Bull, 2.2, I think it was.
quicker
Getting
than
back out.
Mercedes ones.
And then Merck done Merck things and did a 3.3 second stop for Valtteri, which allowed Verstappen to get in front of him, and they just never caught him again, to be honest.
He nearly did, didn't he, towards the end? But then
yeah,
he had
he
that.
was catching him, and then
Well, the pace, even Hamilton, it was very like marginal between all 3 of them.
yeah,
Like Hamilton was clearly quicker than Bottas, but it wasn't by a massive margin. It was just enough to make that move. And then it's so close still between the two of them. I mean, this whole talk about who's got the fastest car at which track. I mean, it was a case of they were pretty even to begin with, and then Mercedes on the hard tires probably had the advantage. But it's going to be so like nip and tuck this year. But to be fair to Bottas, I mean, people criticise him. This whole he's not any competition to Hamilton, but I mean he always seems to be there, doesn't he? Even when he gets beaten. I mean, he was there, and people criticised him for finishing third. Being passed by Hamilton, but you look at Perez, he won driver of the day for doing what? I mean, for
trying
doing
the
a long
ultimate
stint.
overcut.
Yeah, going 52 laps on medium tyres.
I mean, Lance Stroll went over 40 laps on softs.
Yeah.
It was. I do think sometimes Bottas. I mean, obviously Bottas has some shockers, doesn't he? Imola, Turkey, but sometimes he is criticised a bit harsh. I mean, he's literally got the hardest job in Formula One. Hamilton's teammate. So
I mean, the turnover rate would argue with that and say that Checo now sits in the hardest job in Formula One.
Bottas and Checo should make a therapy session.
Number 2 drivers.
Yeah.
Southie.
Number 2 drivers anonymous.
All the past Red Bull number 2 drivers and Bottas.
Yeah, and get Alex Albon in.
Alex, Pierre.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like the Alpha Max Nova 1 video from Imola. It's like, Checo, the boss, I'm off the track, I've lost some positions.
That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah. Horner, that sounds like a you problem, homie. What should I do? Don't know. You wouldn't want to talk to human resources, would you? And then Albon goes through the door.
Yeah, there was like a picture of when Bottas went on pole and the Mercedes garage was yay.
Yeah, no one reacted.
And it was the least enthusiastic thing I've ever seen.
I think they didn't celebrate in that moment because Max and Checo were still on timed laps.
Yeah, it was that.
When they cut the Mercedes.
Yeah, but it was really unfortunate then because it was like the drivers.
Yeah, because imagine you see the pit garage going absolutely mental and then someone slaps on a purple lap. It's just like, oh.
Ferrari 2008.
Yeah, I was about to say, Felipe Massa enters the chat.
Headbutting wall Ferrari mechanic says hello.
Yeah.
No, I do think some of the criticism for Bottas is born out of frustration at Hamilton winning all the time.
Yeah.
Isn't it? But yeah.
So yeah, Mercedes did Mercedes things and mess up a pit stop. So Verstappen took second and it just wasn't relinquished. Then in terms of the front runners, nothing happened for the next 40 laps or so. We had Bottas pit on lap 63 to go for fastest lap. Max pitted on lap 64 to go for fastest lap. Bottas got his fastest lap on lap 65. Max got his on lap 66. Max's lap time for the second time this weekend deleted for track limits.
It was so close.
14. I was watching it and I did think when he came through turn 14, I'm like, he's off the circuit.
Yeah, same.
That's all 4 wheels off. That's no matter what he does, this lap isn't standing.
But what was really sad is that he thought he had it, and then that journalist,
that
reporter told him,
it was Paul di Resta,
Yeah, it was.
Imagine being told you've lost a point by Paul di Resta. I think
Max obviously doesn't read documents from Michael Massey, otherwise he would have known that turn 14 was getting policed.
Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't there at the start of the weekend, and they added.
It wasn't there. It wasn't there on the Friday, but they added it for the Saturday.
Well, there was the thing going around, wasn't there? He's now lost a pole, a fastest lap, and a win because of track limits.
Yeah,
Verstappen. So I mean, it's a fine margin, isn't it?
He has completed the trifecta.
Yeah, he's done the triple crown now.
Yeah,
triple crown of track limits.
I mean, does that raise the question though? Should he maybe calm down a little on track limits?
I mean, Lewis Hamilton supposedly had 29 track limits offenses.
But the difference is that wasn't an offence in Bahrain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
It should
elsewhere
have
now.
been.
Yeah. So shall we go team by team and just sort of analyse their performance? We've given a quick race rundown. Let's start with the winners, the championship leaders, Mercedes.
You're
Pit
not
stop.
biased at all.
Pit stops go brr.
Again.
Just
Yeah, that's
what is the
pretty much-
issue?
That's the only thing you can really fault with them about this weekend, isn't it? Is this
Yeah.
their pit stops. So
They've
Other
had
than that,
basically an
plain
untouchable
sailing.
weekend.
So
Yeah.
We said this after Bahrain, though, didn't we? I'm sure we said it on the podcast. Their pit stops, there's something not right with them.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just Red Bull always do 1.9 second stops.
it's always one of the
Well,
front tires seems
But
to get
then,
stuck on them.
yeah,
so
there's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
excuse for a 3.3 second stop, like,
Well, we said it's
or a
gonna cost them
4 second
eventually.
stop like we've seen elsewhere this season.
McLaren raises you a 5.4
Yeah.
Yeah.
because Danny missed his marks.
Yeah, but that's the driver's fault. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
not the team.
Yeah.
Um,
He admitted that as well.
Yeah,
so
he apologized afterwards. on the
but
team
yeah,
radio,
Mercedes just pretty much an untouchable weekend. It did look like a weekend that the W11 was driving rather than the W12.
Mm.
I mean, can Mercedes do that? Just bring back last year's car?
No,
That
because
allows-
I
gas
mean,
is
Racing
illegal
Point
now.
did. Racing Point did it. Why can't their own team do it?
Yeah, the works team. Red Bull. Let's talk about them. They seem to slip away this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's going to be what they'll class as a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, although Checo did well.
Uh,
Like overall, it was
Yeah.
4th place for him. So
But then the question is, did Red Bull slip away or did Mercedes improve?
I think Mercedes improved. I mean, they always put it out of the bag, don't they?
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
2018 and 17, they were slower for a while, weren't they, than Ferrari?
Yeah.
2019, everyone thought they were going to be nowhere after testing. And
Well,
then,
2019 Ferrari just had the cheating engine, so
well, yeah. And
Yeah,
then,
but they didn't bring that in until halfway through the season.
well, no, I don't know. I think they definitely had that straight line speed advantage all through because I was rewatching earlier today the video of the Canada penalty that Seb got, and Lewis is like, "Yeah, I couldn't touch him on the straight," so I'm like, "We know why that is."
Yeah, maybe it was just the fact that it was Monza and Spa that just kind of highlighted
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, so Red Bull did seem to slip away, and that Constructors Championship gap is now bigger than it was. The Drivers' Championship gap is now bigger than it was. An early omen or a slip up?
I don't know. I think it's another because Mercedes went really well at Portimao last year. So
But then Mercedes went really well basically everywhere last year. W11 go burr.
but that's the
I
thing.
mean-
There's certain tracks that it does go well at, and then there's other tracks where we know they don't go as well at.
Yeah.
So I think
One of the
yeah.
telling races is going to be when we go to Austria.
definitely.
Because
Yes.
that's traditionally a Red Bull track.
I'll
it's
keep
about
you
the wing.
updated from the race.
Taking last year out of the equation, where it was just W11 does W11 things. Red Bull do seem to go really well in Austria.
I mean, it's a
I'm
Red Bull
interested
ring,
in-
so I hope they win.
Yeah.
You don't
Interesting
name the
to see
track
Monza.
after you if you're going to do badly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. Yeah, I'm very excited.
I'm
I
interested
Um,
to see
I hope
Monaco.
COVID doesn't like yeah,
Yeah.
Have you got? Are you
Come
allowed
on,
fans?
get in the way again. But for
You
now,
allowed
it looks
them-
good. It's looking.
I think they've sold tickets.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have. I've
Yeah.
bought a ticket, so they're selling them.
Yeah, I'm the same for Silverstone. I'm still waiting to see what they're going to do. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the London E-Prix.
Ooh.
Me and
Yeah.
my friend, we've been saying we're going to do that since the first Formula E race, but back to Formula One.
Yes. We didn't have Formula E this weekend, so we'll talk about that when it's back.
I was
Sad.
and then we're on DNFs again.
McLaren, a poor qualifying, I'd say, by their standards this season, but picked it back up in the race, double points finish. It's what you need.
Yeah.
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 Bill
mean-
P3 in the drivers.
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah.
Lando's still P3 in the drivers. Danny's P7, so he's only slipped behind Perez. P3 in constructors.
Yeah. I think he had a great recovery drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Lando was looking pretty racy as well, so making some
Yeah.
good moves. Got past Checo, and then magically held him up for like 30 odd laps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it was just a pretty solid weekend, barring the qualifying mishaps.
Yeah. I
like-
think both cars in the points is a good result,
Yeah.
and especially Lando being in the top 5 again.
Yeah.
I couldn't so obviously Ricardo, it was a bit strange that he got re-overtaken by Alonso in an Alpine. They were on the same strategy, weren't they?
Yeah.
And he got re-overtaken by
Yeah.
him. But it was a weird one on strategy because I couldn't work out like what the best strategy was at all. Because, for example, Norris and Sainz basically were on the exact same, soft to medium, weren't they?
Mm.
And yet Sainz dropped out of the points. Norris had on to 5th, and you had some medium hard strategies. And then you had
Speaking of strategy, it was quite interesting seeing the hard tires run when obviously you get the AWS graphic before the start of the race where it's predicted pit stop strategy, and the hard tires just weren't there. It was either soft to medium or medium to soft.
Yeah.
Especially
Do you
after
think...
everyone complained at the start of the weekend, like Pirelli have gone too conservative on the tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the compounds, it was like C1 to C3.
Yeah, it was C1, C2, and C3. I did actually just listen to a bit of team radio from Haas from earlier in the weekend where it's like, yeah, we're going to go to the C4. I'm like, that's impressive. You brought your own tyres?
You have enough money to do that? Wow.
Yeah.
We're just
Should
going
get
to
a
take them
simulator.
fine at this point.
Yeah.
Still last. Ferrari.
A mixed bag.
Yeah, P6 and
P6.
P11.
Yeah.
And P6 is solid.
Yeah,
Carlos,
pretty solid.
the last car to finish on the lead lap. In terms of race time, Carlos was actually the last car to finish. Looking at it, but yeah, P6 is good. That's it.
It was weird because, like, obviously Sainz was brilliant in qualifying, wasn't he? He was ahead of
Yeah.
Leclerc, but then obviously it wasn't down to him that he dropped back to 11th. I mean, he was getting overtaken by everyone, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And this is what I was saying about the strategy. Like, some cars, it just varied. There was no like correlation between, some people went long on like the mediums on the first stint and did really well.
Or the soft.
It was all messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, Carlos just didn't seem to have the race pace. There was actually team orders from Ferrari. Ferrari instructed Carlos to let Leclerc go.
Yeah, because Leclerc did a completely different strategy, didn't he? He was medium hard, which in theory should have been worse than Sainz's.
Yeah,
but for some reason,
wasn't.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
The Sainz dropped off then, yeah.
It was really on the mediums, wasn't it? But then Leclerc was fine at the start, so I don't really know what went on there.
It was a weird race in terms of tyres, I think is the easiest way to put it.
It's exciting for a one-stop though.
Yeah, Alpine P7 and P8, another
It's a
double
good
points
weekend.
finish.
It's a good weekend for them.
Ocon did great.
Yeah, given the first 2 weekends they've had, that is a big step.
Well, it's their second double points finish in a row.
Yeah, I mean they started slow, but they're now building up momentum. Like they've jumped 2 places in the constructors standings. So, and Ocon's gone up 3 places in the drivers.
Yeah.
So I mean I know it's early days, so everyone's like most people are on like single-digit points if they've got it. So a points finish will boost you up somewhere regardless. But the fact that they're now sort of, well, I mean, when you look at the constructors, you've sort of got 3 different tiers at the minute. Well, 4. You've got the Mercedes Red Bull fight, and then you've got McLaren Ferrari, and then the next lot is Alpine, AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, because they're the last 3 that have scored points. I mean, Alfa Romeo, Williams, and Haas, I think they're just going to be picking up scraps where they can.
Yeah.
But for Alpine to now essentially lead that charge of that group, considering they were bottom of the group at the start of the weekend, is much better from them. And Alonso said that, you know, it's going in the right direction. So yeah, I think they're on the up. But how much up is more going to be dependent on how well everyone else does.
Yeah, time will
You
tell.
look at, like, they finished 7th and 8th, yeah, but you look at who finished ahead of them, and it's Leclerc, Norris, the 2 Red Bulls, and the 2 Mercedes.
Yeah.
So I mean, unless one of those conks out, has an extremely bad pit stop or whatever, I don't see them really making much of a dent into those positions. So I think 7th and 8th is a good weekend for them.
Do you
Yeah,
think that in the constructors it will be between McLaren and Ferrari?
I think
For
come
the
the end of the
third-
season, yeah.
Place?
Yeah.
From
Alonso,
early races, yeah, it looks that
I-
way.
yeah,
I thought it was going to be McLaren, Aston Martin.
Yeah. I think a
but
lot of
so
people
glad.
did.
Aston have just
Yeah.
been nowhere.
Yeah,
Mm.
which is big
Yeah,
yikes.
considering how they performed last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why everyone thought it was going to be McLaren and Aston Martin, because like Racing Point and McLaren were very close.
Bring
Racing-
back the pink cars.
if Racing Point hadn't had that 15-point penalty, they definitely would have been P3 in the constructors.
Yeah,
But-
quite securely as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think everyone was expecting it to be similar to the Racing Point, but now it's like, what happened?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lawrence Stroll won't be happy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what's going on there. But before we move on from Alpine, Alonso was absolutely rapid at the end, wasn't he? Like they were saying, his pace was the same as the leaders.
Yeah.
And again, this is another weird one on the strategy because, like I said earlier, he pitted with Ricciardo, didn't he? He was behind him, came back through against the 3rd best car, you know, in the McLaren, probably.
Only finished a second behind.
Yeah, he was
Ocon.
right behind Ocon. I mean, I don't know where that came from, that pace, but it's another example of, you know, it was probably very track specific, wasn't it? With
Yeah,
the Alpine, and
Alonso's
we'll see.
fastest lap was a 1:21.0. The fastest lap of the race was a 1:19.8.
And that was on fresh softs
Yeah.
after a pit stop, yeah. So that, yeah, I mean, I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
AlphaTauri, a poor weekend for them. Just picking up a solitary point
Single
from
point, yeah.
Gasly, who came home in 10th.
Sonoda down in 15th as well.
Yeah,
I feel like
not a
everyone's
great weekend.
I feel like everyone's kind of expecting Yuki to be like he was in Bahrain, but like he hasn't kind of lived up to that yet. And, like obviously
Yeah.
he is only a rookie and like everything, but like I think everyone was expecting him to live up to like that Bahrain level, but obviously he hasn't. So it's like everyone's like,
Yeah.
I think that crash in Imola has dented his confidence a bit.
yeah.
Because it was quite a big one, to be fair, during
Yeah.
qualifying. Like he ripped that car to shreds. I think it'll take him a few races to come back from that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's-
Pierre though has the potential to just be on like P5 or P6 if he like has a good race,
Yeah,
or even like further up than that maybe, because he showed in the past that he just can be in the top positions if he has a good race.
Mm.
And maybe
I think-
one of the Mercedes maybe like retires or something, that he really has a chance.
I think
Yeah.
Gasly said he's actually quite worried about their pace for the next few tracks as well. So, bearing in mind at Portimao last year they were brilliant, weren't they?
Mhm.
They came 5th, and yeah, there's something not quite right. I think with that, maybe they're just not. I mean, it's hard to live up to last year. I think with obviously not just the win, they had some brilliant races, didn't they? But
Yeah.
yeah, I think with Sonoda, I said after Bahrain, you know, he'll have some races where he's brilliant, but you can't expect him to do that every single race. And he was just anonymous, wasn't he, this
Yeah.
weekend? I mean, he was actually quite a long way off the next cars, which are the Aston Martins, I think.
Sonoda was 16 seconds off the Aston Martins. Yeah,
Brilliant.
Honestly,
four-
I couldn't
42
remember seeing him.
seconds ahead
Yeah.
of Russell.
Yeah, I couldn't remember seeing him on the broadcast at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I think he might have like done
I
really
think
well at
we've
Bahrain.
seen him getting
Okay.
overtaken by the Aston Martins, and then that was it.
Yeah, I think he did really well at Bahrain because obviously he had testing and obviously they did have 2 races there, so like he knew the track quite well. But like Imola and Portimao, he obviously doesn't know that well. So like his confidence has just gone a little bit, especially after the crash as well. So like
Did F2 not race in Portimao last year?
I'm not sure.
I
But-
didn't think
No,
they had
they
any support
didn't.
races there last year.
Oh, fair. I thought it did, because I know for a while they were just at every race. Moving on to Aston Martin, a disaster of a weekend.
I mean, the whole season's been a bit of a shocker
Yeah.
so far, hasn't it?
The
5
best-
seconds off Giovinazzi and
Oh, yeah.
13th and 14th. It's just,
The
what's
best thing
going
about
on?
the best thing in their entire weekend during the entire weekend was Seb being in Q3.
Yeah,
That was their biggest success
Mm.
because Lance was what P17, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he spent like 45 laps on softs. How? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
why, for that
Yeah.
matter.
I mean, obviously, like I said, it's hard to make these sorts of comparisons because it changes so much. But this weekend, overall, they're probably 8th quickest, you could say, behind even Alfa Romeo, which is pretty
Shocking.
awful for them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Who would have thought that? Yeah, the start of the season.
Especially compared to last year.
Yeah.
Especially considering the car that didn't get given the upgrades went faster than the one that did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's a
There's
little bit
more-
dodgy.
More team orders at
Yeah.
Aston Martin. So that was,
Mm.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
still
Weekend
think
for
like
it.
it did show a bit of Seb is finally getting used to the car, like especially getting into Q3.
Yeah.
He's finally getting used to the car, but then also if Lance isn't doing that well and he's been in that car for 2 years before, I think it was, and seeing him struggle now is like, how bad is that car this year?
Yeah.
yeah. I'd be getting pretty nervous if I was Otmar at this point with Lawrence Stroll waiting there. But,
If I was Otmar, I'd be scared of Lawrence, what he'd do.
yeah, exactly. Well, I'd be scared of him regardless, but even more
Yeah.
so. Even more so now.
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo, an all right weekend, I'd say. P12 and DNF for Kimi.
Two Q2 performances. So
Yep.
they've got both cars in. But they're Kimi pile driving into Joe's rear wheel did not
Kimi was
help.
distracted
Yeah.
by the 500 buttons on the steering wheel.
The ultimate boomer moment.
Yeah.
And
Literally.
Kimi's appeal for points sort of thing being rejected as well. But then Giovinazzi's performance, very encouraging. I think P12 is quite good for where that car is in
Yeah.
pecking order. You would usually
keeping it ahead
expect,
of the Aston Martins.
yeah, you would usually expect it to be around 16th, not 12th. So
Mm.
pretty solid,
Yeah.
I'd say, for Giovinazzi.
He always
Yeah.
seems to go under the radar, Giovinazzi,
Mm.
but I think he was 6/10 quicker than Raikkonen in Q2, wasn't he? I think someone can check that up.
He
I-
was
but
up
I'll have
there.
a check. But
Raikkonen
yeah.
was 15th.
That could
and
be.
he was
I hope that's not wrong. 'cause
well,
it's gonna look silly, but yeah, he actually seems to get the better of Raikkonen quite a lot. Which I know Raikkonen's what 41,
Yeah,
but
6/10.
it's Giovinazzi. Yeah, his performances never seem to get any attention. Which
I think it's
I
because
think-
in his first season against Kimi, he got taken to the cleaners by Kimi.
Yeah.
And then since then, it's kind of been like, he's now actually got the momentum behind him that he's now got enough experience and knowledge with that car that he can now match and beat Kimi. So
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
so
when he-
Giovinazzi, 119.216, Kimi Räikkönen, 119.812.
I guess when he's
For
beating him,
Kimi, it's just a hobby though, so it's fine.
it's
a
just a
Sunday
hobby,
car,
it's
it's just
Just a
like-
hobby.
Yeah.
what's he?
Guess
What,
when he's
what do
being
you reckon
himself,
Kimi's
yeah.
is on the sprint races? Is he going to enjoy the extra drive?
No.
Just a Sunday drive.
Yeah.
Now a Saturday and a Sunday.
Saturday.
trial?
Well,
Saturday
I
and
mean,
Sunday
in terms of
cruise.
actual on track time, I don't know how much is going to be gained. I think
They
there
said,
might
like,
actually
half
be a
an hour, 40
loss.
minutes.
Yeah, there might
Yeah.
actually be a loss of track time because a qualifying session lasts an hour. Although it's not an hour solid on track.
Yeah.
No, I think it's the same actually because it's replacing one practice session, which is an hour, and
Yeah,
the race is an hour. So I think it's
guess
the exact same. But
we'll
it's
just need to
it-
see how long, because some of these races will only be like half an hour or something, and some of the shorter, quicker
Well,
Oh,
tracks.
then yeah,
Depends if anyone sends it and ends up
Yeah.
with a 3-car
Yeah.
pile up in a
Is there going to be a
that lasts
safety
an
car
hour.
then?
Well, yeah, it's a full race.
It'll be just like
Um,
a sprint race in
I just
Formula
thought
C.
about that.
Yeah,
This is,
it'll
everyone's
be
going to be so cautious.
it'll be
Right.
raced under the same regulations as the Sunday race, as far as I'm aware.
Madness.
So yeah,
That's going to be an interesting one.
track limits.
Even more.
I wonder if they'll be more strict on track limits because there's less laps.
Maybe. Two
Because
strikes.
obviously, normally in qualifying, you go wide and your time's deleted. But how does that work for a race? Will it be one strike, black and white flag, penalty? Who knows? We'll see. We'll see.
We'll have to wait and see.
Williams up there in
mean,
qualifying, half a tenth off of Q3.
George
The
did
race,
really well.
the race, not so much. 16th and 18th.
They both went backwards in the race.
Yeah, George 42 seconds off of UK. Nicholas 3 seconds off of Mick.
After being overtaken by Mick.
Yeah, after being overtaken
Pretty
on
poor
track by a
mistake as well.
Haas. Yeah.
Like,
At least it was Mick.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's no worries about that. Mazepin was 64.4 seconds behind.
Yeah.
He was almost a lap behind, so,
Yeah, Georgia lapped Mazepin, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't just pick Mick up from somewhere like in the streets of Germany. He's actually like talented.
Yeah.
He can drive.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just there's just no race pace in that Williams. And then speaking of no pace, Haas. There's just no pace in that Haas.
There's nothing.
But we have to add the congratulations of actually making an on-track overtake in a race.
Yes.
I mean, what?
So bravo, Mick.
Yeah,
You've just
well done,
ended
Mick.
Nicholas Latifi's career.
There's nothing more to do. Like,
Not that there
overtake
was
Nicholas
much of a
Latifi.
career.
No.
Didn't say that.
Yeah.
I mean, was he
You know,
known as on Twitter Nicholas Latifi? So,
In all fairness, Nicholas is like slightly improving. Like he has been like kind of up there in qualifying a bit. With the Haas being last, I mean, the only thing you can do is improve. But like he's already had a year experience in that car, so like he's improving a little bit as best he can in the Williams. So yeah.
it doesn't help that it's not a great car.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it kind of helps that we guaranteed 2 cars at the bottom.
Yeah.
So that concludes the Portuguese Grand Prix weekend. We don't know if we'll be going back. It was another quick replacement for the Chinese Grand Prix. I think this one replaced.
That'd be about right for the calendar.
Yeah. Round 2 was meant to be Vietnam, and then round 3 was China, which was obviously cancelled again. So we don't know if we'll be back in Bahrain. Well, not Bahrain.
We will be back
next
in
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know if we'll be back in Portimao next year. Time will tell. So let's round up the weekend with the championship standings. Oh wait, actually, we forgot something.
But wait, there's more.
We didn't talk about this lovely chestnut from the race. We enjoy a nice 5-second time penalty here on the Top 5 podcast.
Just put that
Oh
meme
my
on the
God.
screen. The YouTube.
Yeah.
Put it on now, like the water polo one.
Seriously,
I'll
just
edit it in.
car 9 had just departed the pits with car 11 approaching down the main straight. Fair enough. Car 9 turned into the apex of turn 3 while car 11 was attempting to overtake on the inside at the entrance to the corner. I see you, race leader. I crash into you.
I see you, but I choose to ignore you.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And although it is noted, while not mitigating the breach of the regulations, the stewards do note that car 9 was not given a radio warning in time to react for Sergio. But surely you look in your mirrors and you see a Red Bull and you go,
I think
I don't
That's a
think I'm
different
racing
league.
him.
Yeah.
Does he ever look in his mirrors and think he's racing anyone?
Probably not.
And also, when you look at the side of the track, you've got a nice light panel with a blue outline and your number flashing. But no, I will take you out.
Yeah, I think a Red Bull would be quite hard to miss in your mirror. So it's a question of, does he use them?
Probably not.
Probably
but
not.
then
No.
also Hamilton didn't realize he was racing Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he hadn't yet pitted.
Yeah.
Hamilton doing his best impression of Seb. Yeah.
Oh, that's qualifying. We don't need that. Let's quickly go up here. Final race classification. So the final race classification for Portugal is as follows. Come on, Firefox, scroll. There we go. So Kimi Räikkönen with a DNF after 1 minute 33 on track. Well done, Kimi.
Still longer than Mazepin's race.
Yeah, better than Mazepin.
Yeah, still longer than Bahrain. Then we had Mazepin, Latifi, Schumacher, Russell, Tsunoda, Stroll, Vettel, Giovinazzi, Sainz, Gasly, Ricciardo, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc, Norris, Perez, Bottas, Verstappen, and Hamilton, rounding off the standings. But yeah, as I mentioned, an interesting chestnut in that Sainz was actually last to finish. His race lasted 1 hour 35 minutes, 50.3. The closest person to him is Mazepin, who done 2 laps less, but somehow his race was only 4 seconds shorter than Sainz.
Oh,
4 seconds.
That's tragic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the classification after 66 laps at Portimao.
I don't know why, but I always love seeing just the RAF instead of the Russian flag.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
always
great.
love seeing it.
Russian affiliated athlete, Russian Automobile Federation,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or just a white flag. They don't even
Yeah.
put RAF, just white flag.
Oh, that's why they painted the car like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'm curious to see what the outcome of the FIA investigation will be. If they are still investigating.
I hope so.
They're probably going to say that loads of flags have those 3 colors.
Yeah,
All
but
the
not in that
flags.
order.
Yeah.
On Sky, don't they just show like a white flag? I think they just show a white flag, so basically saying surrender from the sport, please.
Please
leave.
Please.
Isn't white flag a car going slowly?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
I'll go slowly and
it's
surrender.
a slow-moving vehicle on circuit. So it could be an ambulance, a horse car, or
Mazepin.
a car breaking down. Because when Max was breaking down during free practice in Imola, they waved the white flag.
I will die on
So
the
they
hill.
should just start waving
sorry.
the white flag when
They didn't
goes around.
wave a white flag. They just sort of hold it. It's like, guys.
Observe this scroll of white.
Yeah. This is a problem. F1 Fantasy isn't loading. Hopefully it'll load by the time we get there.
Shall I go
but
through the
Richard,
drivers' standings?
Yes, take us through the driver's standings once again from bottom to top.
In 20th, we have Nicholas Latifi on 0 points. In 19th, we have Mazepin on 0 points. In 18th, we have Schumacher on 0 points. Down 1 in 17th, we have George Russell on 0 points. Up 1 in 16th, we have Vettel on 0 points. Staying the same is Giovinazzi on 0 points in 15th. 14th is Raikkonen, also on 0 points. Down 2 places from last race is Yuki Tsunoda on 2 points, now in 13th place. 12th place and up 1 is Alonso on 5 points. 11th is Lance Stroll on 5 points as well, but he is down 1 place. 10th is Pierre Gasly on 7 points, also down 1 place. 9th, Esteban Ocon, 8 points and up 3 places. 8th is Carlos Sainz on 14 points and down 2 places. 7th is Danny Ricciardo on 16 points, down 1 place. 6th is Sergio Perez on 22 points and up 2 places. 5th is Charles Leclerc on 28 points, down 1 place. 4th is Valtteri Bottas on 32 points and up 1 place. 3rd is Lando Norris on 37 points. 2nd is Max Verstappen on 61, and still leading the way is Lewis Hamilton on 69 nice points.
Nice.
And for the constructors in 10th, we have Haas Ferrari with 0 points. 9th, we have Williams Mercedes with 0 points, leading Haas on countback. 8th, we have Alfa Romeo Racing Ferrari, also with 0 points for beating Williams on countback. 7th, we have Aston Martin Mercedes with 5. 6th, we have AlphaTauri Honda with 9 points. 5th, we have Alpine Renault with 13 points. 4th, we have Ferrari with 42 points. 3rd, we have McLaren Mercedes with 53 points. 2nd is Red Bull Racing Honda with 83 points. And in 1st, clearing the triple figure mark already, is Mercedes with 101 points. So the good news is F1 Fantasy is now working.
That's good news for me. Yeah.
But shall we do that before or after we run through the Podium League standings, Richard? You're the holder of those.
Oh, okay, let's go through podium predictions. We'll start off with a happier note of the social media predictions. I've gone through what we got sent in and made a podium. So in 3rd place we have Shetty Gamer, who is only in 3rd because they sent theirs in afterwards. In 2nd place from Twitter we have Josh Strange, and in 1st place with a perfect 15 points is Lily. So she smashed it. So on our own league, from last week, it was going so well, and then it wasn't anymore. But in last place we have Mason on 6 points. In second last place is Alex on 7 points. Then is Nia and Chris, who are in that order because it's alphabetical at this stage, both on 8 points.
What about countback? Who submitted first?
Above them is me, because I got my 6 point scorer before you guys got your 6 point score.
Boo.
So I'm leading on countback there. Then in 2nd place is Ben, who after this week and his perfect 15 points is on 21 points. And in 1st place, also on 21 points and leading on countback, is Sonja.
Yay!
No surprise there.
I don't know how that
flying
happens.
Start, yeah.
It's all down to that first race.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna take some beating now. So
Yeah. So let's turn to F1 Fantasy and see how things went. So I'm still in 6th. We can see that at the top there. Yay, go me. So rather than looking at the overall standings first, let's look at the isolated Portugal standings. So, Richard put in the worst team with 87 points. Alex then in 7th with 120, followed by Nia with 148, followed by me and Nia with 153 each. Richard is then in again with 160. Then it's Richard again with 171. But winning the Portuguese round is Ben with 184. So
not only did he get the podium prediction spot on, he also bossed Fantasy League this week.
Let's see.
Yeah, and then
that does.
it'll all fall apart next week.
Let's see what this does to the overall standings. So in 8th is Richard with 293 points. 7th is Nia in Traffic Paradise with 327. 6th is myself with 391. 5th is Alex with 403. 4th is Richard with 414. 3rd is Nia with 423. 2nd is Ben with 535, which means leading the way still is Richard with 547. But let's have a look at the team that did win the Portuguese round.
Guess who's the turbo? It's your boy.
It's Charles Leclerc that was done as the turbo driver.
That's not my team. That's Ben's team.
Yeah, he won.
Yeah, because someone won this weekend.
I thought we were going through. The top team of the leaderboard.
No, we will in a moment, but we're talking about the team that won in Portugal first.
That's all right.
So, yeah, it's quite interesting that so many points were scored because it's a sort of mismatch of average scoring drivers, rather than anything else. It's quite interesting in that respect. Verstappen not really doing so well with those 37 points, compared to his normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's have a look at the team that is leading the way by only 12 points.
It's still a
But-
lead.
There are still 20 races to go.
It's fine. I've
A
got this.
lot can change.
I've got this. Sweats nervously.
Yeah.
You're gonna cry when Norris like DNFs and you have minus 30 points because he's turbo drivered.
I mean, I'd cry anyway, but yes.
Even more so.
Yes.
But
You start
yeah,
crying,
so
then just remember F1 fantasy exists, and you just start
cries
Cry
more.
again.
And then remember that I didn't say
Crying
DNF first
intensifies.
in F1 play and cry a third time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lando DNF, there'd be cries in F1 fantasy.
So yeah, Tsunoda with 2 points. That's why my teams probably went so badly wrong this week, because I also have Tsunoda with 2 points.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Norris doing bits with that turbo driver. I'm quite curious as to how my own team scored now, so let's just pull it up. Perez with 46 points from the turbo driver. I really need to sub these two guys out. I love them really, but they're just not doing bits for my point score. Although the Mercedes chassis, 70 points. Beautiful scoring. So yeah, that's F1 fantasy. F1 play isn't as busy, but I'll take you through. Richard forgot to put in his predictions, so he
I
scores.
was talking about it all weekend, like, yeah, I'm gonna go for this, and this, and then just forgot.
So Richard scores 0 points.
Big ups.
And myself and Nia both scored 4 points in F1 play. So, shall we now move on to Spain?
How do we make the Spanish Grand Prix sound exciting?
Yeah.
That's with pain.
We talk about it in fake Spanish.
We talk about the fact that there's a new track layout,
Yes.
and we don't know how well it's going to race because we didn't test there this year.
No, exactly. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's still a lot that we don't know. For example, on the weekend's schedule, we've got Formula Regional Euro Cup Championship by Alpine, and their races are to be confirmed laps or 30 minutes plus 1 lap.
I think it's because
I don't even know how many laps they're going to do just yet.
yeah, it's because the championship was probably designed as either set amount of laps or timed races, and so they know they're doing timed races, so it'll be 30 minutes plus 1 lap.
Yeah, I just find it interesting because like even like Formula 3, there's like 22 laps or 40 minutes. So
yeah, it's because it's slightly different. It's similar to how F1 works in that there's a time limit that the race can't go by.
Yeah.
Whereas for FRECA, it's a time limit for how long the race will be.
Yeah.
Like the race will be
It's
30
more like
minutes
Formula
plus
E.
a lap. Yeah.
So
I think everyone seems to be treating this Portugal-Spain doubleheader sort of like together, don't they? As in, they're near each other, they're quite similar tracks, so similar temperatures.
Yeah.
And
I think that is the thing. The tracks are so similar.
yeah, well, Hamilton
just-
won in Portugal,
there's
and
a
he's
lot
won.
less undulation in Spain, isn't there? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's won in Spain for the last 4 years, hasn't he? So a clear favourite this weekend, I think. But again, it's going to be so close. I think if Verstappen could really have had pole at all 3 races, I think that's probably a fair point to make. And if he can pick it all up in Spain, it's going to be difficult to overtake though, because we know it's always difficult to overtake there.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he's not on pole, as long as he's on the front row, absolutely send it into turn one. Lead
Yeah,
from
it's a
the
long
front,
run.
done.
Isn't it?
So,
Yeah.
Might get the 100th pole this weekend.
Could
I'm
do.
going to say it every weekend now.
Until he gets it.
And then it's going to be the same with wins as well.
Yeah. When will he get 100 wins?
Yeah.
If he misses pole for the next couple of races, then he could technically get his 100th pole and 100th win in the same race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's had the one race he's had pole so far is the one he hasn't won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many wins is he on now? Was it like 96?
97.
Oh, 97, yeah.
Yeah, he's slowly like closed up the wins, the poles, isn't he, from the last couple of years?
Yeah. I think it's because he's sort of been doing bets from not pole.
Yeah, 2019, he didn't actually qualify that well, did he?
Definitely not because Mercedes have hung Valtteri out to dry at any of the previous races.
Mercedes aren't as bad for hanging drivers out to dry as some other teams on the grid. Let's be honest here.
I don't know. I mean, recently they've been sort of culprit number 1 or 2, depending on how you look at it.
Toto Wolff calling Valtteri Bottas a wingman.
In and in.
That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but still, that one lingers. That lingers.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, he hasn't forgotten that.
But no, I'll be interested to see FP1 on Friday when we go driving with a new track layout. In fact, which support races before FP1 is it F3? Is it Freca?
Both.
Yeah.
Is it both?
Yeah, Freca is 9 till 9:40, and Formula 3 is 10 till 10 to 11.
So what time do I need to get up at on Friday morning to see this new track layout?
8:30. Depends how long. It depends how long it takes you to get to the screen.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming that Freca's going to be back on YouTube again.
Oh yeah, it will be. Freca doesn't have a broadcaster, so it will just be on YouTube. I'm quite lucky in that my telly is right there, so I just need to pick up the remote and log in.
I have to make the decision of, do I try and watch it on YouTube on my Xbox in my bed, or do I get up and come to my laptop and sit in here and watch it?
Yeah.
I'm
I would
going to be at
definitely
work,
go for.
so I can't watch it.
See, I'm gonna miss live qualifying because I'm at work. But thankfully this week I'm off on Sunday, so I'm going to get to see the race.
Oh, that's good.
Where we
which is handy.
Sit in Discord and chat absolute random stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to have radio silence in the Turn 5 Discord this week because we'll all get to see the race, I think. Live, so that's good. But yeah, so things to watch out for this weekend. Freca will do Freca things. If you like,
let's
you like
see how many
seeing-
laps the Renault Clio leads.
yeah, if you like seeing a Clio lead the way, watch Freca. Formula 3's debut this season, the return of Juan Manuel Correa to Formula 1 in inverted commas grid as well.
To racing, really.
Yeah, to racing, but back with the Formula 1 support races, which is incredibly good to see. Absolutely delighted for him.
Shall we go through the predictions?
And then, we've got Formula 1. So, Richard,
For the
predictions, please.
in alphabetical order, because that's how I've written it out. Alex went for Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. Ben went for Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez. Chris went for Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen. Nia went for Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez. I went for Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. Mason went for Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez. And Sonja went for Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez.
We're going to see the
Much of
first
a
1-2
muchness
of
this
the
week.
season. We're going to see the first 1-2.
I mean, it's a possibility. Yeah,
I think
we've got a few from
It's
Discord
Spain.
as well.
Like,
I mean,
Mercedes
Spain,
loves
yeah.
Spain.
Except 2016.
That was Rosberg's fault.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
It was though. Like, is there any debate? He pushed Hamilton onto the grass and then was shocked that Hamilton spun. Like,
You're lucky this isn't before. This is like early before we have any kind of following.
yeah.
Otherwise, that would be a heated debate.
Let's turn comments off on everything.
from the Discord, we've got Hamble93 with Verstappen, Perez, Hamilton. Lily is backing herself to do the double with exactly the same prediction of Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. Maxence has gone for Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez. Harry has gone for Norris, Hamilton, Perez.
Oh, I'd love to see that, though.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would,
I would
but I
love
also
to
wouldn't
see
because
it,
I want
but I
the
think
points.
I would want to
I
see
mean,
it.
I think I'd rather have Lando win a Grand Prix than the points. For
Ah,
this
Yeah.
Richard,
prediction.
Richard,
Because you're
think about your
True.
F1 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Amazing. Turbo driver, mega driver, let's go.
But yeah, no, I think it's unlikely that we're going to
Yeah,
see
Yeah.
Norris win the race.
Unless
Not-
like
not
another
in Spain.
Monza.
Not in
Yeah,
Spain.
we've had
Yeah, not in
strange things
Spain.
have happened.
Yeah.
There's
last
going to be
year.
other tracks where that might be a possibility, but
Unless
not
it's
in
like
Spain.
another Monza or a 2016.
Inder went for Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, and then he says, but he hopes for Verstappen, Perez, Hamilton. Then Sequel16 has gone for Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, and Cozy Neon Knights has gone for Verstappen, Norris, Bottas.
That would be great.
Yeah, that's really going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons there.
But yeah, no, I'm really kicking myself about Portugal because Richard, you'll back me up here. I messaged you saying I'm Verbot and then changed it to Hamilton,
no.
Verstappen, Perez.
Oh, no.
I joked about it. It's going. Like, I'm sticking with all reliable. I had 15 points,
But you changed it. You
and
bottled.
then I got 2.
That's pain.
I should literally just Spain without the S.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's what we've got from this week of predictions.
Or
Obviously,
in Mazepin's case, Spain
been
without
without
the
the
A.
A. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have that long to wait now.
No, just a few days to go.
3 days until drivers' press conferences. 4 days until those cars back on track. But
Or-
by the time you hear this, it'll be
yeah,
2
for
days
those of
until
you
the press
listening, yeah.
conference, and 3 days until the drivers are back on track.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to fill in another week of non-race action.
So next
Somehow.
week's episode, we have slated for a Spain review, of course, but also track changes. Do they work? And this will be an interesting time to talk about it because obviously we've got quite a big track change this weekend. To turn 10, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, turn 10. So
That's why I penciled it in for that week. But then I thought, I should have done it after Australia because they're doing somewhat more extensive track changes.
but then it wouldn't be till the end of the season.
Yeah,
and
it's a long way to go.
That's triple header city down there. So
That's after we've done all the triple headers.
Yeah.
That's in between. There's like a week gap between Australia and the final double header.
good luck to all our listeners when we get to the triple headers. Good luck to us for when we get to the triple headers.
Good luck to me trying to figure out how I'm going to design
Yeah.
these
Oh, yeah.
thumbnails. This week's one's not too bad. Two tracks, it's fine.
Yeah.
I can keep on top of that. I haven't done the square one yet. I've done the
Well,
YouTube
I
one.
mean, all you'll ever need is 2 tracks because
Yeah,
it'll be,
the last
yeah.
one was the most chaotic because dream circuits, and I was just like,
Yeah.
let's have loads.
This is just like that.
You have a circuit. You have a
Yeah, pretty
circuit.
much. I spent like 3 hours redrawing one of them because the last track layout we had from it was like the 2008 Formula One website version, and everyone else had like 2020 where we'd gone back to it. So I
yeah.
spent like 4 hours redrawing it so it looked the same.
But and then after Spain, we've got Monaco.
Yeah.
The jewel in the crown, as it's known.
Yeah.
The car park.
So
Gonna be exciting how Mazepin does in Monaco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a tweet of just like someone coming out of a parking garage
Oh yeah,
and
I
just
retweeted
crashing into
that.
the walls constantly. Yeah. They'd be like Mazepin in Monaco. I was like,
odds of a red flag in Monaco because Mazepin has spun into Sandoval.
100%.
No
It's gonna-
heroics, more like just no
Yeah.
skill.
He's gonna yeet himself
Should
into
get
the
Jeff
harbour or
as his
something.
engineer.
No heroics, just no.
It's
Blue
like-
Just
flag
no.
for Monaco as well,
It's like
because
back in F1 2012 when if you spun even slightly and just end up sideways into Sandoval, your cars just vaulting each other, and then it just came up, red flag, race stopped. That was when you knew it was chaos. That was the last time we seen red flags in the F1 game as well.
I still think they should bring them back. They need to.
Oh yeah.
Can't ask that much of Codemasters.
They've been bought out by EA. That's big money now.
They have
Yeah,
to
they've been
update
bought
the
by EA.
track.
50
So-
quid for a red
Hey,
flag.
you're gonna have to, you have to pay for the red flags.
Yeah, 50 quid, yeah.
But
Well, they
yeah,
bumped up the deluxe edition by 15 quid over last year's one. So.
yeah. Thank goodness for Xbox Game Pass giving me that 10% discount.
Thank God
Yeah,
for
same.
Steam giving me a 70% discount.
I mean, I
Big
saw an
flex.
article about it because it's been pretty much price rises across the board except like America.
Yeah.
And the worst hit was Argentina, which saw a 460-something% price hike.
Jesus.
Dear.
Yeah. So I feel like the new F1 game might not have the same sort of numbers as this year's one, purely because EA have just pile
Waddled it.
drive the prices through the roof.
Yeah.
So
Time
Not
will
great.
tell on that one. Time will tell.
classic EA.
Yeah. But anyway, that wraps up this week's episode of the Turn 5 podcast. If you want to get involved with your podium predictions for Spain, drop them in the comments
Or on our
Um,
Twitter.
or on Twitter or Facebook. Just basically anywhere you see one of us, just put it there. We'll make sure it gets in.
Yeah.
If you see us walking about, just let us know your predictions.
Shout it in the street, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We understand.
You
Just
might have
walking-
to make sure I don't have my headphones on though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walking down the street,
Yeah.
Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez. Okay.
Cheers.
But yeah, no, drop it in the comments on wherever you're following our podcast, and thank you for listening. Most importantly, if you weren't here, we wouldn't be here either. So definitely, thanks for listening and subscribing and liking and all of those nice things. And we
Following
will
and
see
rating
you.
5 stars.
We will see you next week for track changes. Do they work? Have a nice week. Enjoy the race.
Wait, isn't it Spain next week?
Yeah, we do the review as well. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
review
Yeah,
and
yeah.
track
Oh,
changes.
is it the same episode?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll talk
so-
about Spain, then
Yeah.
we'll talk about track changes.
Okay.
But yeah, no, thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. Enjoy the race, and cheery bye.
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 Bye.